I left the door ajar, and he stepped right through it. The hallway was dead quiet, but the air hummed with something unspoken, something heavy that clung to us both. He didn't back off, and I didn't ask him to. If you've been here before, you know the drill. Hit that like, subscribe. It keeps this alive. New around here, you picked a hell of a place to start. Welcome. Let's dive in. The porch boards were cool under my bare feet, the morning sun just warm enough to cut through the Tennessee breeze. My coffee mug steamed in my hand, the robe loose around me, its soft fabric brushing my arms with every move. I took a sip, the kind that burns your tongue just right before it slides down. The doorbell chimed, sharp and sudden, and when I opened the door, he was halfway down the steps, a lanky figure in a delivery uniform one size too big. He froze at the sound, turned, and caught my eye before looking away. Quick, like he'd seen something he shouldn't. I leaned against the doorframe, coffee in one hand, the other resting on the frame. That for me, I asked, nodding at the small box in his hands. He stepped forward, cautious, his voice low, saying it was urgent. I took the box, our fingers brushing, and he didn't step back. He just stood there, silent, watching. I shifted, the door still open behind me, its hinges creaking faintly in the morning air. His eyes flicked up, startled but steady, and I tilted my head, a half smile curling one corner of my mouth. Didn't expect this delivery. Did you? I turned, slow, and walked back inside. Coffee in one hand, box in the other. I didn't close the door. I didn't look back as I crossed the hallway, the floor creaking under my steps. Then I heard it, the soft thud of the door shutting behind him. I set the box on the entry table, still clutching my coffee, and turned just enough to see him standing there, inside, his face unreadable, like he was still figuring his next move. I let the silence stretch, heavy and thick. Just lean it against the frame, I said, soft but deliberate. He moved, slow, unsure, but he listened. The door's latch clicked shut, and the hallway sank into a deeper quiet. I stepped aside, just enough to let him come closer. He did, careful, like he wasn't sure he belonged. His eyes locked on mine, searching, waiting. A flicker of want buried under caution. He stopped just short of me, close enough that I could feel the heat off him. I glanced at his hand, still hovering, and reached out. Our fingers touched, brief but electric. His throat bobbed, a single tense swallow. "It's okay," I said, voice low. "No need to worry." He reached again, slower this time, his fingers settling on my arm, steady but light. I held still, waiting to see what he'd do next. His hand lingered, unmoving, and I felt how close we were, too close, the air tight with something reckless. I turned to face him fully, his eyes uncertain at first, until I rested my hand near his. The silence settled like a weight, but it felt right, like it was meant to hold us there. He stepped closer, and I didn't move. He leaned in, hesitant, his breath brushing my shoulder like he wanted to speak but couldn't. A small tear in my robe near the shoulder caught his eye, and he looked away fast, like he'd crossed a line. I nodded, just a tilt of my head, letting him know the quiet was okay. His hand paused, then slid along my arm, stopping short, unsure. I exhaled, soft, not knowing what came next. The breeze from an open window tugged at my robe, the fabric shifting lightly against my skin. He stood beside me, eyes meeting mine in the stillness. "It's okay," I said again, softer. "No need to worry." He nodded, barely, standing close, silent. I lifted his hand, placing it where it felt natural, my fingers lingering over his before letting go. We shared a kiss, light, steady, calm. It lingered, unhurried, just long enough to feel real. The faint taste of coffee hung between us, sharp and warm. His hands settled on my hips, gentle but firm. As the robe shifted slightly, its folds catching the air between us. The silence wrapped us, heavy, unbroken. I stepped back, feeling the edge of the entry table behind me, and leaned against it, hands gripping the edge for balance. He moved closer, quiet, still. I adjusted, close enough to feel how still the air had gone. His hand traced my arm, the robe's fabric whispering with the motion. Nothing forced, just easy, natural. The air felt cooler now, sharpening the moment. He leaned in, and we kissed again, soft, deliberate. My hand rested on his back as we stood close. We stayed like that, near, silent, no need for words. Every move felt steadier, like we were sinking into the quiet together. His hands moved gently, holding the moment with care. No rush, just presence, steady hands. I wrapped my arms around his neck, feeling the warmth of his skin under my touch. He stood close, silent beside me. I held him gently, the robe shifting slightly against the table's edge. No plan, just a quiet moment, unfolding without expectation. I stood there, still, letting it wash over us. I didn't let go, and neither of us needed to say more. Be honest. If you were at her door, would you step inside? Or wait for the invite? Drop it in the comments, I'll read them. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for being here.